he wears a pocket protector as a fashion accessory. But he is a nerd. Bringing you news and knowledge from the world of computers and technology, here's Benjamin Rockwell with Computer Talk Radio.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. The phone number, 888-NERD-888. That's 888-6373-888. Oh, wow. Just a bunch of stuff. So much, actually, I find sometimes that picking all of the things out of the news that I want to touch on and the world and everything, I get overwhelmed at times. But let's see here. Some of the stuff we're going to be talking about, being manipulated in the election. Later on, we're going to talk about Google's browser. It may be alerting in some very odd spaces in an attempt to manipulate the election. And we'll also have Josh Bernstein on. He'll be coming up next. And we'll be talking about, of course, cutting edge, bleeding the entire concept of this election. And we'll be talking about voting. Electronic, computerized voting and some of the concerns there and more. But first, of course, as we always do, let's talk about the news in the tech world. And when we talk about the news in the tech world, we would be very remiss if we did not start off with the entire concept of everything that is going on with the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 debacle. This has been just an amazing experience for Samsung. So they started off first with problems with the Galaxy Note 7. So much so that, yes, they've been recalled. We'll get to that in a moment. Then they started having problems with the washing machines catching on fire. The phones were catching on fire, and then the washing machines were catching on fire. Then they decided, okay, we're going to fix those Samsung Galaxy Note 7s. And then, yes, an airline passenger, he basically picked up a replacement Galaxy Note 7, and it all of a sudden started sparking and whatnot, smoking and whatnot, just after he had actually gotten onto a plane and turned off the phone. Yeah, that's right. There was a recall already in place. Samsung has turned around, and yes, they've recalled the entire line of Galaxy Note 7s. Send them all in. That's going to hit them by $3 billion. That's how big this is going to hurt them, just in hardware alone. Now, I want you to think about this. What is the business impact on Samsung? Samsung being the largest in the Android field, the largest in the smartphone field. This is concerning. This is dramatically concerning. And I don't know where they're going to go next, except, well, okay, they'll send out boxes to everybody, and these boxes are going to have little ceramic plates in them so that if these phones during shipping happen to catch on fire, then everything will be fine. It will be self-contained in that box. Except, well, they already have another problem. And that problem is that they sent out some of these, and people were complaining of irritation from the ceramic contents to protect the phone if it burst into flames. So then they had to start sending out gloves with the boxes to get your phone and have you return the phone to them. This is a disaster. This is a nightmare. Nobody at Samsung could ever have believed this kind of stuff. And yeah, this is going to pretty much get uglier as time goes on. I don't know how. I don't know why but I just have no faith in Samsung right now. A woman went out on a date utilizing a famous app. You may have heard of it if you're in the dating field. And she basically was trying to escape a creepy guy. He was supposed to be her date, and he creeped her out, and she was backing away, and then she tried to, she tried to get out on the balcony. She was trying to climb down, and she lost her life. She fell, and that's unfortunate. And this is one of those things where I don't comment on this a lot, but if you're going to go out on a blind date, the last thing you want to be doing is being anywhere other than in public. And I don't know what else to say about this. I don't know a whole lot about this. The last time I was in the dating field was over 28 years ago. As a matter of fact, I think it was right about a little bit more than 28 years ago when I proposed to my wife. Yeah, so, we're talking, it's been a long time for me since I was dating. Amazon, however, has been doing some dating of their own with a number of different companies, because what they're doing is they are expanding their grocery business. And I don't know if you're familiar with this concept. You may be in one of the areas which does offer delivery of various food items to your home. And I'm talking about perishable items. So they've been offering up regular grocery items for a while now. Your non-perishable goods. And then they started moving into the perishable goods. But next on the list, they are going to be building brick-and-mortar locations, essentially convenience stores that are specifically stocked with the things that people need right now. And they're also looking at curbside pickup for a lot of online orders. So they will express basically a truck to a central location, which has a lot of the things that you might that people are ordering. And by doing that, they can then supply a lot of people without really expending a whole lot of energy and monies into the delivery concept. Now, I do live in an area which does have Amazon. Let's see, what is it called? It's Prime now, and then there's Amazon Fresh and stuff like that. Look, it's all an amazing effort on the part of Amazon, and we're going to be following that a lot more. And because this is kind of the cutting edge of where shopping may be going. At the same time, I'm going to tell you that as exciting as the shopping with Amazon is, one of the things I'm not going to be doing is doing Amazon Music Unlimited. Now, Amazon Music Unlimited may sound like a really cool idea for a lot of people. A matter of being able to have access to 10 million items out there. 10 million songs out there, and it's a lot more than the current Amazon Music that's just included with Amazon Prime, which is about 2 million songs. So they're widening up this entire range, but one of the things that they're doing is they're charging roughly $7.99 a month, and there's variations on there. It's $10 a month if you're not already a Prime member, and there's $3.99 a month if you have, let's see here, it's the Amazon Echo, the Echo Dot, or the Amazon Tap. I mean, it's all kinds of crazy stuff. But here's the thing. I started to do the math on this at the prompting of a news article that I read, and this news article mentioned that it's basically going to be a lot of money. How much? About $120 worth of music. Now, if you think about it, how many people are out there buying? How many of you bought a CD a month? I mean, yes, we did go through one of those time periods in our lives where we said, okay, yeah, we're going to buy all of these different albums, and we built up a music library. But you would have to buy 120 songs a year to basically come up with this $10 a month streaming plan. Now, that's okay for some teenagers. Maybe that's where they're going to put their money. But most people these days don't do that anymore. At least not as far as I know. Josh Bernstein joins me next here on Computer Talk Radio. Yeah, it's all about the election. Coming up next.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio, so I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. theradiofactory.com.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. Along with technology, there's a lot of things going on in the voting world. You pretty much have to be hiding under a rock to miss all of the craziness, and of course, we've got to cover it here, too. So I've got the spokesman for the Association of Mature American Citizens. They're a alternative to AARP. And he's on. His name's Josh Bernstein. He's been with us a number of times here. Josh, where are we going? What is going on out there as far as technology and this election?
Well, I think if you really want to go back in time, you can look at the year 2000 with Bush and Gore, and that race and how competitive it was and how we didn't have a clear-cut winner for almost 30 days afterwards as they were recounting and counting. So what happened is after that happened, Congress passed a Secure Voter Act. And what that ended up doing was giving billions upon billions of dollars to these states and their diebold electronic voting machines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The problem is that they have not been kept up, number one. And number two, they have already been shown to be very, very hackable. As a matter of fact, there was a special, I think it was on ABC, where you could literally go to Best Buy or Radio Shack, spend $15 and get a certain device that you can stick inside the machine and literally change the votes. So the first thing that I would tell anybody that is out there is absolutely 100% do not vote early. Voting early leaves your vote out there that much longer to be compromised. We have seen many times that people that have come in and voted early have had their votes changed. These machines are not very reliable. They can be changed. There's been situations, even in 2012, where somebody voted for one candidate and then up on the screen it showed that they voted for the other candidate.
Sure, yeah.
So to be honest with you, I'd like to go back to the days of paper and hanging chads.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It amazes me. I keep hearing about people that say, oh, we should just be able to vote on our smartphones. We should just be able to vote on our iPads or whatever, And I just sit there and I think,
even worse.
Not everybody has a smartphone, but at that point, how accountable are these basically registrars of voters, the people who count the ballots and all of that? How accountable are they at that point?
exactly. I mean, look, you could be in a swing state and you could have a county that has a Democratic official that's pro-Hillary, and they could decide at the last minute when they're counting up everything and they say, oh, it's pretty close here, we need Hillary to have more votes, and they literally could change the votes.
Sure.
There's a lot of states that don't have the paper ballot as backup for the machines because, again, these machines are very old. Some of them are 20 years old almost, Well, you figure 2016 to year 2000, they're 16 years old, almost 20 years old. Think about how much technology has changed in 16 years. I mean, Windows, 7, Windows 8, Windows 10. I mean,
Windows
the list goes on and on and on.
Windows XP for.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So when you think about all the technology, you also have to think about what about the people that are hacking the technology and how much more advanced they have gotten.
Sure.
So again, I don't want to completely do a doomsday here, but I would encourage people that are voting to not vote early under any circumstance. Do not vote early. Vote on Election Day.
Now, taking just a slight detour here, what have you seen as far as the campaign approaches on the Republican side towards using technology to gain voters to get the message out to basically do their part for winning the election?
Well, certainly, if you remember in 2012, the Get Out the Vote situation for the Romney campaign failed
miserably.
On Election Day. It didn't get out. It was an absolute dismal disaster, and then obviously we saw what happened. I don't know exactly what the Trump campaign is doing. I know that they have tripled the amount of volunteers. I also know that Donald Trump himself is an absolute master when it comes to social media and using social media and Twitter and Facebook and videos and everything else. So he certainly is crushing Hillary Clinton in that way as well. But is that all going to translate to motivated voters? I think time will tell. I think it will, and I think with the WikiLeaks that have just come out now, especially the fact that they wanted to literally re-educate and disintegrate Christian faith and Catholicism. I mean, some of the WikiLeaks
that was one from this last week.
Is really bad, so I would really hope and pray that the evangelical Christians and the Christian right and the base really turn out for this election, not like they didn't turn out, because they didn't in 2012, and they certainly didn't turn out in 2008 either.
Yeah. Now, what have you seen as far as campaign approaches using technology again for gaining voters over on the Democrat side? I know there was the big, huge video that had a bunch of celebrities, and I actually enjoyed. There was a counter retort to that. A matter of I can't remember. It's like, do I really want to pay attention to a bunch of celebrities who have no clue in the real world?
Yeah, it was like, thank you so much for telling us who to vote for. It was kind of mocking them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, as I've said before, and, I'll say it again, the only way, literally the only way Hillary Clinton wins the presidency is through massive voter fraud. She doesn't have the enthusiasm. She certainly does not have the crowd sizes. And ultimately, I believe there's only one way she can win, and again, that is massive, and I mean massive amounts of voter fraud. So
now we know that that Donald Trump is doing his own tweeting. We can see, of course, some missteps here and there, but I've read some of the tweets that came from the Clinton campaign, supposedly from Hillary Clinton, but they seem to be from somebody who's a bit younger than she is, somebody who's utilizing some terms that are not being used by my generation, let alone Hillary's generation. Have you had any insight on that?
I have not. I know that Donald Trump has a much bigger presence on Twitter. He does tweet himself rather than his assistant or what have you. But we also know that there's a lot of fake followers on Twitter. And, I've heard that as many as 35-40% of Hillary's are fake, and probably anywhere between 10 and 15% might be fake on Donald Trump's side. But ultimately, social media is a great thing to use.
10% of 25 million is a little bit different than 40% of, what is it, 4 million? I don't remember the latest number for her. Yeah, it's all craziness. So this is turning out to be a very interesting election. Do you think people are paying attention to the technology side of it this year, like they were in previous years?
Well, yeah, I do. In one major respect, I think that people are cautious now because enough conservatives out there have, heeded the warning signs not to vote early. And I just saw a poll from Rasmussen that just came out that said that 40% of voters, if they're allowed to vote early, would vote early, and 56% said that they were going to wait to vote on Election Day. Now, if you look at the numbers from 2012, the numbers that would have voted early, I believe, was even higher. It was like 46 or 47%. So you're seeing that less people are going and voting early, and more people are going to vote on Election Day, and that certainly favors Donald Trump.
Wow. Josh, do me a favor. Give out the website where people can find out more about AMAC.
Sure, www.amac.us.
Very cool. Thank you very much, Josh. We'll have him on again soon, basically when we get a lot closer to the election. I'll be back in just a moment. I'm constantly looking for the right place to get computer hardware. It's not easy, as there are so many stores that have gone out of business, so many shady characters online, or they're simply not capable of handling diverse needs. In 1979, two guys got together and built a computer company that could serve your nerdy needs. Micro Center. The wide range of products at Micro Center includes even the latest of Raspberry Pi, Arduino, and other hobbyist-level computers. They also have drones. They've got them in all price categories, from toys to, oh boy. Look, you're looking for console gaming, home automation. Micro Center's got that. Hardware, software, accessories, or, well, whatever. It doesn't matter. From Apple to Zyxel, Micro Center has what you're looking for. 25 stores across the nation, or you can check them out online at microcenter.com. That's microcenter.com. I was contacted about a week ago by a listener in Montana. You know, I love the internet listeners just as much as I love the regular radio listeners. And, well, look, she had a website that she goes to frequently. It's not computertalkradio.com. It's a different website. But she actually started to notice that some of the more conservative websites that are of a lower viewership have been experiencing problems. One of the ways that has been discussed for a while of censorship is through more passive measures, much like her experience. So I went to this website and I was confronted by a drastic red page. Deceptive site ahead. Attackers on the name of the website may trick you into something dangerous, like installing software or revealing your personal information. Now, I've seen these pages before, but usually these have been on some of the shadiest pages out there. Not on political sites, not on news sites or anything like that. Usually it's been on my excursion with fellow expert nerds who are demonstrating various darker sides of the internet. Now this message of deceptive site ahead on a news site. Again, this is a news site. Some of these messages can be presented under the guise of protecting you. And now, Google has provided an out for themselves. They declared that this site is deceptive, and all that I saw beyond, even after some poking about, was news articles of a particular political bent. Now, it could easily have been on either side. In this case, it was conservative, and I draw attention to this because, well, yes, Google is, well, we'll just say that they are very staunch supporters, by all appearances, of Hillary Clinton. Yes. Now, we can scream all we want about First Amendment rights if they block us. But if they start to smear someone, now things take a distinctly different turn. So all of a sudden you can't get to, I'm going to pick two major websites. You can get to Huffington Post. Perfectly fine, but now you cannot get, you are blocked from Drudge Report. Okay? Understand it can be in either direction with any of the different search engines or web browsers out there. But I'm just giving you an example. So all of a sudden you're blocked from one. Well, that's First Amendment. We're entitled to go to whatever website. But if all of a sudden it's going, deceptive site ahead, warning, you may, whatever, that starts getting scary. Now, we already know from recent months that if you are not an adherent to the political philosophy of some of these companies, again, Google, and let's see here. Oh, yeah, Google, then they're going to start tweaking search results. Forget months, though. This has actually been something that's been around for years in various forms. In 2005, the term terrorist sympathizer, you just type that into Google. It led to the website of Bill O'Reilly. Yes, Bill O'Reilly, the famous Fox News presenter who happens to be anything but a terrorist sympathizer. And then a Google response for miserable failure. That led directly to George W. Bush. Claimed as a Google bomb. Google was actually aware of this from 2004 to 2007 when they finally disabled it. Does this sound like innocence? Does this sound like something that, oh yeah, we let this go on for 3 years and it was just a Google bomb. We had nothing to do with this. Well, in 2012, another one was for, quote, completely wrong. You search for completely wrong. It led to pictures, a lot of them, with the candidate for president at the time on the Republican side, Mitt Romney. Searches on Google recently, we've been talking about this, for Hillary Clinton health revealed nothing of her own personal issues, but rather her health care attempts from the 90s. That's hardly current. That's hardly news. That's hardly something most people would even be searching for. But again, notice a particular trend here. On the few pages that I pulled up for reference on this topic, they noted a number of items. They went through far more than I've covered here. But I saw only one of these in regards to being against a Democrat. And it was noted that it was short-lived. It was only around for a matter of a few weeks. Let's contrast that with 3 years of, quote, miserable failure leading to the current president? Yeah, the current president of that time. This new attack may be simply a quote-unquote grassroots effort, but it may be supported by something far more sinister, something far more devious than we might imagine. This may be an accidental identification of malware on a site, or it may be a matter of them determining malicious ways of messing with you or I. You know that phrase, if you don't know what the product is, then you are the product. Well, yes, that phrase is very true. But you, as a product, are more than just someone being bought or sold. You, as a product, are now subject to being manipulated and twisted like a Stretch Armstrong doll from the 70s to be molded into their ideal of a utopian-built user, believing the lines that they feed you. Your value to Google and really anyone online can be summed up in a myriad of ways far beyond what you might imagine. But they have goals that include not only money, but yes, that thing that a lot of people strive for, power. I'm reminded of The Running Man. That's a movie that I watched actually on my wedding eve, like almost 28 years ago, where the false utopian society was actually made dystopian by the manipulators that would have you believe that the hero, Arnold Schwarzenegger, was a murderer. Wow. Yeah. How things have changed. This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, this is Benjamin Rockwell. Most of us use digital cameras nowadays, but what do we do with those old pictures and slides in the back of the closet? Well, let me tell you about Legacy Digital Productions. They specialize in taking your old memories on film, videotape, and slides and digitizing them to DVDs. If you have boxes of old slides, then you know they fade more and more each year. Let Legacy Digital scan them for you and stop the aging process dead in its tracks. You'll get beautiful 10-megapixel digital files, color-corrected and ready for printing. All this is done faster and cheaper than buying a film scanner and doing it yourself. Your files are then burned onto gold archival DVD discs where they will last for generations. Call right now, mention my name, Benjamin Rockwell, and receive a 30% discount on your order. Call toll-free 1-866-2-LEGACY. That's 1-866-2-LEGACY. And tell them Benjamin sent you. Your memories are priceless, so call 866-2-LEGACY now.
It was so long ago where we could rely on CPU speed to tell us which computer was the faster computer. But that's all changed, and I, Benjamin Rockwell, host of Computer Talk Radio, am here to give you just a little bit more glimpse at how this all works. The website, by the way, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. If you are comparing two CPUs, so much has changed. It used to be just a matter of 25 megahertz versus 50 megahertz, or 400 megahertz versus 600 megahertz, 1.2 gigahertz versus, 2.4 gigahertz. But somewhere along the way, things just started go differently. That gigahertz speed, that is how many cycles per second. That used to be very reliable because we used to do a finite amount of information during that particular cycle. Today, what happens is we can do so much more during a particular cycle, or basically those many cycles per second. To give you an idea, if we were to just refer to a clock rate of 1.8 gigahertz, I want you to think about this. This is a matter of 1,800,000 clock cycles per second. Your CPU is doing all kinds of different little small computations in that time. Now, it used to be it would do one computation during that particular cycle, and then it would do another one and another one and another one, and again 1.8 billion computations. Today, though, there are so many different things that it can do during that time, and sometimes that winds up being far more efficient for the CPU. It gets more done in each different cycle. This entire concept applies also to things like i3 and i5 and i7. This is just on the Intel side. Just on Intel. AMD has their own different whole arrangement of how they deal with the CPU speed, and it's a lot harder. It used to be, we would say, okay, this is a, whatever it is, a 400 megahertz CPU, AMD, 400 megahertz CPU, Intel. Well, we could compare it up because that's how it ran. But these days, there are so many different changes. Even in the laptop world, that concept of that top speed may not be attainable for very long. Why? Well, because we start heating up. Your CPU will start heating up. And the entire system says, whoa, 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 slow down. Because we're getting way too hot. We need to cool off. All of these different things come into play. So if you see a particular CPU and it's 2.2 gigahertz over on the laptop, and you see a 2.2 gigahertz CPU over on the desktop, well, that 2.2 gigahertz on the laptop, that's basically its top speed. That 2.2 gigahertz speed on the desktop, that's pretty much all the time. How do we compare this? Well, it's kind of like comparing cars. Both of these cars can go straight on down the freeway at 100 miles an hour. One of those happens to be a Lamborghini. It can do that all day long. It's going to be kind of underpowered, or overpowered, rather, I don't know, however you want to think about it, to fly down the freeway at 100 miles an hour. It's kind of like that's second gear. There's like 6 more gears to go. Maybe it's third gear. I don't know. But if you were to try and do that in, I don't know, a Hyundai or a Kia, you might be pushing the limits of that car. Who knows? It all depends. I don't follow all the cars out there that much, but you've got sort of that core concept. It's not a race car. It's not a sports car. It's not going to be flying down the highway at 180 miles an hour like the Lamborghini can do. So we find out that Lamborghini is going to last a long time at 100 miles an hour. It's going to be doing fine. That little small subcompact car, not going to last very long. You're going to wind up blowing the engine. So that's that whole laptop versus desktop. But again, we can start comparing some of these other specifications. We no longer work on that gigahertz concept. We have to start looking at other different things, like the concept of a benchmark. We have to look at the issues of how does this speed compare to this speed over here? How do these CPUs compare to each other? Fortunately, these days, there's a number of different websites that I personally rely on. One of them is called Tom's Hardware, and another one is called CPU Boss. If you have 3 different CPUs, 3 different systems you want me to compare up, I'm going to start looking up some of these details. I'm going to say, all right, this processor is a lot faster than this processor, or maybe vice versa. Whatever it is, I'm going to label it all out. I'm going to give you an idea of which one is going to give you that better speed, that better bang for your buck. But it's simple. All you have to do is just type in Intel, whatever the processor is, 6500U versus AMD, whatever the number is, and you just type these items into Google, into your favorite search engine. And one of those 2 websites, Tom's Hardware, CPU Boss, is going to come up in that results list. Then from there, you've got an idea yourself of the comparison of speed. There's all kinds of tricks that I use, but that's just one of them. This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back in just a moment. Years ago, I found a web hosting company that fit my needs as a computer nerd, as a radio show host, and just a normal person. Recently, though, it was clear to me that it was time to upgrade, but I had a choice between my old plan and the new one at 7 times the cost. It was that awkward point where I could choose between a sip of water or being dunked in a pool. I searched around, comparing the many options for someone like me. After searching around for 3 weeks, there it was, SiteGround. In proper fashion, I tested their customer service, their knowledge, and their willingness to do things the right way. The SiteGround salesman made sure that I didn't overbuy and get a 50-gallon bucket when a 32-ounce soda would do. These guys know WordPress, Joomla, and regular standard websites. These guys at SiteGround are awesome. SiteGround.com. Site, S-I-T-E, ground.com. oh, this is so like life. This is so like anything that can happen. Yeah, Murphy's Law. Murphy's Law always strikes, and this is one of those things I made a note for me to cover this week. You ever sit at your computer and you wanted to go plug in a thumb drive or something else, some USB peripheral? Now, mind you, computers these days are coming with a number of USB ports. We see this all the time, and that's because, we're moving in that direction where everything is USB. You know, we can look across. Our printers are USB. Our 3D printer, if you've got one, is USB. A lot of my equipment that I have around, some of the specialty equipment, USB. I charge. I plug in my. I've got a Kindle. I've got an Android tablet. I've got my iPhone. I've got my iPad. I got all of these different things that plug in via USB. And of course, I needed to plug in a thumb drive. And then I realized there is something going on here. I need even more USB ports than I originally had intended. Now, mind you, my system has, I think it's 8 of them. This is my home system. 8 of them on the back of the system. Maybe it's 6 of them. And 4 of them on the front of the system. And this isn't enough. Well, and we deal with laptops, too. Look, this is one of those things where the number of USB ports on your computer or mine or your laptop is going to be one fewer than you need at any given point in time. That's just like Murphy's Law. I'm convinced of this. I deal with this all the time. Oh, man, I need another USB port. What do I unplug? I got to unplug something. You know, and they make USB port hubs. They make a number of these really nice USB port hubs. There's one I've been eyeing, actually. It's USB 3, and it has 4 ports on it and a power switch for each of those 4 ports. So you can turn them on and off as you need as you see fit. What was funny was I said, why would I ever turn them off? Why would I ever want to have all of those and then just say, okay, I don't need this one right now. I'll just turn that off. And then it dawned on me, that's kind of cool. I like that idea. Maybe I would use that. Except now I'm sitting here, I'm going, 4 more USB ports. And how long is it going to be before, yes, those 4 ports, those 4 of them aren't going to be enough because, well, okay, if you think about it, I get 4 more ports there, but I'm actually taking away one of them. Yeah, because I have to pull that out from the back of the computer. And, yeah, that's the way life is. So maybe instead of finding that 4-port version, I should find the 8-port version. But how long is that going to last me? How many weeks is it going to be before I decide, oh, hey, I should have bought the 12 switch, the 12-port version of that USB hub? I have no idea. But you know right now that I'm telling the truth. You know that no matter what I do, I'm going to still be one short in a matter of a month. I'm still going to need that 1 additional port. This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio. So I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. theradiofactory.com.
Can't find out what to buy at the computer store? Benjamin Rockwell's got the answer, helping you make sense of technology. Here's Benjamin Rockwell with Computer Talk Radio.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. The phone number, 888-NERD, 888, that's 888-6373-888. I am a computer nerd. You may be already aware of that, but that's okay. I try to tell everybody. I really do. I got up in front of a classroom of people and I said, "Hi, my name is Benjamin Rockwell." Yeah, we were supposed to introduce ourselves. And I am a computer nerd. No, a professional computer nerd. Everybody laughed. I'm like, hey, that's not fair. You don't laugh at the other guys when they say what they are. No, I didn't say that. I enjoy it. You know, it's one of those things that's always fun for me. The website, there we go. The website is computertalkradio.com. One of the things that we go through on a regular basis, you've heard this term before, you're being carded. When we're 21, okay, we start getting carded for purchasing various items, or maybe at 18, you may be carded for voting. You get older, they find out if you're old enough for the senior citizen discount, whatever it is. People check your card, and there is something called carding, but it is not what you think it is. This is in the technology field, and there is a term called a carder. And this is a guy or person who buys, sells, and trades certain information online. Your credit card. Yeah, that's right. That's right. These are the bad guys. They're kind of hackers. They're basically part of the entire group of the scum that really makes our lives difficult. This is one of those situations where this service is in high demand by crooks, by the thieves, who, with the right card information, can gain immediate access to your money. Debit cards are really particularly vicious amongst this entire group. Once the money is out of your accounts, it's gone. Yes, sometimes if you have a nice arrangement with your bank, maybe they will protect you. Maybe they will have some protection in regards to liability. I know I've had an experience where it's been okay, and we'll get into that in a moment. But this is one of those situations where usernames and passwords are next on the list. Credit cards are the tops on the list. And this is all due to common reusage of the same information, and some of this information can be used against us. I mean, we go into the usernames and passwords. I mean, yes, how many of us use the same username everywhere? What about the account passwords? And again, I go back to what I say all the time. The fewer you have, the more danger that you are in. But let's get back to the carders. What are they doing? They're doing a number of different things. They're doing more than just selling card information. They actually operate servers. And this is one of those situations where they set up anonymous servers that are specially designed to really protect them. There are standard anonymous servers out there, and these anonymous servers vary as far as what they do. And they're proxy servers. What that means is they're a man in the middle. They pass the information through their servers so nobody can track them. You've seen this on the various shows. The FBI is there and they're running a trace, and they find out that it's bouncing all over the world. Well, through these anonymous servers, it's kind of hard to track all of this information down. The proxy servers are designed to be a buffer. And it's not as easy as it looks on TV. It really isn't. But the bad guys, with their proxy servers, they delete log files immediately. And they also locate these servers in countries where the legal system is non-existent. Or if it does exist, It is so broken and corrupt that it might as well not exist. So now these servers are using what are called phishing kits. And these phishing kits are for sale. They've got all kinds of different packages that allow you, or really the bad guy, to create their own Bank of America, eBay, PayPal, whatever website out there. Nobody's doing any Wells Fargo creations because Wells Fargo is having... No, that's a bad Wells Fargo joke. These carters have organized, though, and they have become a deep menace because they're working together. It's no different than a gang or mafia organization. They require the new initiates to demonstrate their abilities by providing active credit card numbers that have been stolen just to hang out with them online. It is similar to some of the gang activity you've heard about over the years. And what they do is they do something that's really a predictable pattern too. You can watch carefully. Some of these things happen that just you don't understand. All of a sudden, you're making a donation for $10 to someplace, a good charity, a believable charity like the American Red Cross. My wife, if she saw a donation to the American Red Cross, she wouldn't think anything of it because I like the American Red Cross so much. But now this donation happens, it clears, and then it's authenticated. And then what happens is they say, oh, we know this one's good. And more purchases start flowing. Worse, though, is the identity theft through new account creation. See, your entire profile, your entire everything is out there for the bad guys to utilize. Your profile includes Social Security number, your name, your address, birth date, maybe your mother's maiden name, maybe your driver's license number. All of this kind of information is out there, and those full profiles are available out there on the internet for various people for a song. Sometimes a matter of $10 or $20 will get the information that they need to just usurp somebody's life. Once this happens, the rest starts getting really easy for themselves. The Department of Justice notes that terrorist networks are even utilizing these tools to steal from us too. They're just buying something different than what the mafia guys are buying. Yeah, you got the idea. You know where this is going. First and foremost, I've got to tell you, the person who can stop this the most is you. I have just a certain set of tips for you, and these really boil down to the basics. Only use a credit card online. Do not use your debit card. You can use your debit card in other places. If you have to, yes, use your debit card. But again, that debit card may not have limitations on your liability. You need to check with your bank. Credit cards, they have insurance there. They usually leave you liable for maybe $50. And that's the most that you'll be out. Debit cards, the information's taken out of your account. It may not ever get back because so many banks treat it as if it's cash. Now, banks are also suggesting you monitor your accounts almost daily. And if you've got a good credit score, you need to monitor that on a regular basis as well. But moving even beyond that, we need to get you to the point where you are utilizing different passwords, different account information everywhere. Why? Because once this entire web starts unraveling and surrounding you and your account and your financial information, once they start taking money from and goods and services from you through your Amazon account, they can start going after your Bass Pro Shops account or your whatever account that's out there. I don't know. Micro Center account, because you use the same password, you use the same username, or maybe the username is just your email address. Well, that creates a problem as well. We also have people who will click on links that come via email. hey, we've got this special from Macy's. Click here and it's a 20% off on almost everything we have in the store. Well, you click on that link, and then all of a sudden, yes, you think you're on Macy's website, but you're not. You're on somebody else's. This happens all the time. Don't click on the links that come via the email. You usually will find that those retailers will include a little passcode, so you can go directly to, in this case, Macy's.com, and then just type in that little coupon code and get your discounts that way instead. There's so much to watch out for, so much danger that's out there. This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back in just a moment.
Let me tell you about the Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio, so I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. theradiofactory.com.
Keith M. Sedor is a Mac. Benjamin Rockwell is a PC. I think a fanboy fight is about to start.
The phone number, 888-NERD, 888, that's 888-6373-888. Keith M. Sedor joins me now, and with this entire world of technology, you would think that these guys that you're dealing with would get it right.
Oh, you mean a major manufacturer like Nissan, specifically the Infinity division?
Yeah.
Those guys?
Yeah, it sounds to me like these guys, they're as lost as the guys over at Samsung. This is just absolutely. Now, it's probably not a big matter of your car is catching on fire, or actually, is there any danger? Before we even get into this, the whole thing about the problems you're having with your car, is there like any danger to the operation of your car?
There most certainly is.
Okay.
And the car has had a federal recall from NHTSA. That's the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration.
Okay. All right.
Now, granted, I purchased a used car. Granted, the recall is 13 years old. Granted, Infinity maintains that the original owner had the recall work done. I find it highly suspect. Well, let's go back a minute. I'm jumping too far ahead, Benjamin.
Yeah, okay, yes.
You know, the pride and joy of my driving in the 21st century was my Infinity i30.
Yeah.
You were flabbergasted when I told you the mileage that I put on that car before she finally gave up the ghost on me this summer.
Yeah.
I had a premonition that that car was going to last me 415,000 miles, and that was about a year ago. When the engine finally went, it had 413,995 miles on the odometer.
Missed it by that much.
But that's a pretty darn close approximation.
Sure, yeah.
That car's driving was problem-free. I mean, with the exception of basic maintenance, oil changes, and tune-ups, I did not have any major repair problems with that car whatsoever.
See, now, but of course, you being the car aficionado here of the show, you understand how to treat a car. You understand some of the various nuances that the people need to go through as far as being owners of a nice car.
True, but it's much more basic than that, actually. If you take care of something, it'll take care of you. That's been my general experience.
Yeah.
So my thought process was, if this generation car has treated me so well because I took such good care of it, wouldn't it stand to reason that the next generation of the same model, I went from an i30 to an i35, would also have comparable luck?
I don't know. Let's ask the Samsung owners who went from a Note 6 to a Note 7.
Exactly. Now, I started having some problems with this not too terribly long after I took ownership of it this summer. I was going to take it to my mechanic, and I was speaking to somebody who also had a comparable vehicle, and they said, I think there's a recall on that. And I said, oh, it didn't even occur to me to check and see if there's a recall on it. I go to the NHTSA website, and I check to see what recalls are out on a 2002 Infiniti i35. There are a handful of them, and one piques my interest in particular. When I'm reading the details of this recall, every single one of the symptoms, save for the car crashing, of course, thank goodness for that,
Okay.
this vehicle has demonstrated and I have experienced. So let me read to you what this says. On certain passenger vehicles, the circuit board for the crank position sensor or cam position sensor may have an improper solder joint due to solder deformation caused by heat stress accelerated by the existence of flux residue during the soldering process. What does that mean? Well, in a nutshell, it means that it looks like this part was improperly manufactured and they're going to replace it.
Yeah.
What's the consequence of not replacing it? Well, according to the federal government, it says this could cause the service engine soon warning light to come on, create a no start condition, cause reduced engine power, or cause the engine to stop running without warning during vehicle operation, which could result in a crash.
Doesn't sound all that good. Doesn't sound like anything I would want to be messing with. I would contact Infiniti right away and say,
Well,
hey,
I've done that, Benjamin.
oh, no.
And
And
they
what?
were initially helpful in as far as they would review their records to see what has been done with this vehicle. And they basically said, well, the original owner had this repair work done years ago. I said, look, I understand if you're telling me that this work has been done because that's what your records reflect. I'm telling you that all of the symptoms in this recall are being exhibited in this car. And if this were a situation where I bought a used car and I started having some problems with it, I'd say, well, that's what you get when you buy a used car. You get things that need to be repaired. But there's a known issue that the federal government requires a recall on. You say you fixed it, but the problem still exists. I have a problem with that.
Yeah. You know, it sounds to me almost, just perhaps someone was paid to fix it. Some shop took it in and said, oh, hey, it's running just fine. Let's not even bother with it. We'll collect the money, but we're not going to bother getting our hands dirty.
You're suggesting that an actual dealership service department would do that?
You know, I wouldn't put it past them. I've seen some shady dealerships in the past.
See, Benjamin, I typically look for the best in people, so I didn't even think of that as a possibility. I'm simply thinking that maybe the replacement parts weren't manufactured to the specifications that they should have been. And you're actually suggesting that somebody got paid to do the work, previous owner brought the car in, was told the work was done, but it actually wasn't. And so the records reflect it being done. That's a very interesting supposition.
Sure. They collect a few $100s more the second time it comes into the shop. Wouldn't be the first time. I wonder if there's like some kind of serial number, some other way to show that they did it or didn't.
On the replacement parts.
Yeah.
Well, these are just sensors. I don't know what there would be on those.
Yeah. Crazy technology stuff. We're going to have to revisit this one. We're going to have to come back and talk about this some more whenever you get an update on this.
The thing that gets me the most, Benjamin, is I have been a loyal Nissan customer for a long time. This is not the first Nissan we've purchased. This is not the first Infiniti we've purchased. And I say we, I mean the entire family. And I'm a young guy. I have a lot more cars to purchase in this lifetime. And you know what? As an automotive consultant, people come to me all the time and ask me for my buying advice. And if this is how I think I'm going to be treated by the manufacturer in the future, I mean, look, I get that this is an older used car. But the bottom line here is we have a gray area, and we don't even have a manufacturer's representative saying, you know what, we recognize that this is a little bit of a gray area. This isn't normally something we do, but we also recognize what a loyal customer you've been, and we want to do right by you. We want to keep you happy. We want to keep you in the Nissan Infiniti family, and I see none of that from these guys. On top of the fact that this is a federal recall, and I'm pretty convinced at this point, between your supposition that the repairs weren't actually even done, and I'm thinking they weren't done properly with proper parts, yeah, I think there's some more investigation needs to be going on here, Benjamin. I'm not done with this by a long shot.
Okay, so all of that was pre-recorded. We already did all of that, and then we had an update a couple of days later. What is the latest now, Keith?
Well, Benjamin, shortly after recording this segment, the engine died on me. And let me tell you, Benjamin, this did not happen on a local road this time at low speed. This happened on the interstate at high speed. So there I am, Benjamin, on Interstate 287 in the middle of rush hour traffic, pulled over onto a narrow shoulder with traffic whizzing by me at 80-plus miles per hour. I was literally in fear for my life this afternoon. I had to call AAA. I had to have them come tow it.
Considering how infuriated you were before, I can only imagine. This seems like this is going to be one of those experiences that's going to keep going for us.
I think we're going to be talking about this for a while. In fact, tomorrow morning, I'm going to be calling Nissan directly and speaking to somebody in a decision-making capacity, because clearly the people that I've spoken to who write me letters with nebulous customer service titles and no last name aren't in any position to actually do something to properly represent their company and take care of their customers.
We will definitely keep you posted on this. This is Benjamin Rockwell.
And I'm Keith M. Sedor.
You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back in just a moment. I'm constantly looking for the right place to get the things that are on my nerd wish list. It's not easy. There are so many stores that have gone out of business. There are so many shady characters online, or so many of them are just simply not capable of handling my needs in a one-stop shop. In 1979, two guys got together and built the brick-and-mortar company that could serve your tech needs. Of course, today, they've got an online presence, and it's called Micro Center. They've got tablets, iPad, yes, but also Android and Windows and all the accessories, too. They've got laptops, desktops, all-in-ones, Windows or Apple, of course, all covered here. Motherboards and processors, and, okay, all right, who are we kidding? It's really everything to build your own PC. Keyboards, mice, surge protectors, software, tools, and thumb drives. Enough. Look, from Apple to Zyxel, Micro Center has what you're looking for. 25 stores across the nation, or you can check them out online at microcenter.com. That's microcenter.com. The phone number 888-NERD-888. That's 888-6373-888. The autonomous house. The concept is 40 years without maintenance, but all kinds of technology throughout. And Marty Winston joins me now. And Marty, one of the thoughts that goes through my head is I recall that you were talking about tablets somewhere in the house for doing readouts or something like that. Fill me in on that.
Well, the idea is you've got a lot of intelligence in even $30, $40, $50 tablet that you can dedicate to a specific job. So with that tablet mounted somewhere convenient, every time you look at it, you'll get a predictable display. What is that display? Well, use your imagination, but I've got some ideas in the context of the house. One of them is an interactive weather panel where you get to see the forecast, and maybe it rotates with, and I think this is up to the sites that deliver weather, with a local radar map or a forecast or alerts or what have you. So a dedicated weather panel based on online resources that are already there, I think makes a lot of sense, and it's a lot better than, gee, I better turn on the TV and check the local weather. Oh, missed it. It's commercials already.
Yeah.
I think, now, parallel to that, not anything I'm going to have, but something you may want to do, you could have sports scores. You could have stock prices.
Marty, you don't know me that well. Remember that whole nerd thing? Yeah, I have this theory. The nerd gene is the same gene as the sports gene. It's just flipped around the other way.
I see.
Zero fascination with sports.
Well,
man.
maybe there's a listener out there who's tuning in by accident.
Sure. You're right. There could be listeners out there that are going, oh, yeah, hey, I'll follow the L.A. Rams. The only way I even know to talk about that is I went shopping recently and saw a bunch of stuff for the L.A. Rams.
Well, there you go. I could talk about guess which NFL team will leave its market next, but we've been through that.
Oh, man.
No, the panels can be whatever you want. You know, we have the ability to track warm bodies in the house. I could easily put a panel on to do that because we're generating that anyway with an active web page. I can just put up a second web page and have the panel permanently browsing that page. Anytime you're dealing with active HTML, that's a very easy feed to a tablet. Mm-hmm. You don't have to write your own apps. It's a browser.
Yeah. So I imagine you're probably going to do stuff like clocks and maybe even some of the environment monitoring throughout the house.
Clocks in my work, as you know, I'm dealing at least with the 4 U.S. time zones and often 3 or 4 others. So being able to put those on to a tablet can make sense. If I got really, 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 really persistent, I might come up with an app that knows the phone call that I'm making or receiving and give me the time there. Or tell me not to, or something. I'm not going to do that.
Warning, this guy's a telemarketer. Don't pick up the phone. Oh, wait, too late.
No. I really don't plan on tracking the environment across the house, but I think I would like to have one of the tablets showing me messages, alerts, and warnings from the system.
Oh, okay.
And that too is easy to happen. I'm not sure that's something everybody else wants. I need it because I have to design the system, I have to correct the system, and if it's not working, I'm going to get the grief.
Yeah, true. So now, are you looking at mostly wall-mounted tablets? Are you going to do anything roving tablets, perhaps?
Well, the only roving, I'm sorry, what we're talking about here are either wall-mounted or a desktop easel or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There is one, I mentioned the warm body map.
Yes.
And it makes sense to me to be able to serve that web page over the part of Wi-Fi that is not obscured from the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I ever want the outside world to see it, but if I want to roam the house, actually it'd probably be smart to put in a second Wi-Fi. If I want to roam the house and take a look at what's happening in the rooms, especially if there's a condition where it means that something about the ventilation or something about the insulation is wrong, being able to get there to see the thermal map as it exists, to see my warm body on the map, and to see what it is about the room that is just a little weird. That's kind of convenient. So I thought, I'd probably do that.
Okay. But mostly along the lines of the techie concept, not so much the creature comforts for guests or for your wife.
No,
you never know. She may ask.
I see a lot of thermostats. I see a lot of thermostats that are information panels and control panels.
Uh-huh.
And I think that is a lot like asking the guy who serves slushies if he can operate on your brain.
Yikes. Yeah, probably not a good idea.
People are amateurs.
Yeah, okay.
They're not experienced at the right way to set up a house.
Uh-huh.
So, let the pros tell me how to do it, then let automation take over from them, and don't get it wrong.
Yeah, fair enough. So so you're going to have any idea how many tablets you'll have throughout the house?
Oh, they won't be through. They're mostly in the control center. There might be 4, 6, 8, something like that.
Okay. But it's still at least going in that direction. Anything that you actively said, no, somebody came up with that idea and you think it's absolutely crazy?
Any number of things.
But as far as like what people are using tablets for, anything that...
Well, we've seen people trackers.
Yeah.
And as soon as there is a people tracker device somewhere, the security of that is so suspect. I'm not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Should I look at the irrigation system? Well, if the automation's working, why should I?
Mm-hmm.
The whole concept here is not to have people monitoring things, to make more chores for people.
True.
Let the automation do everything it can. And only when it's absolutely necessary for a human being to participate, at that point say, hey, buddy, I need a little help.
Very cool. Yeah. You're working with exception reporting, which is a nice business concept. Don't mess with what's working, only fix the stuff that's broken.
Oh, that's very nicely said.
Yeah. I can't take credit for it, though. This is Benjamin Rockwell. That's Marty Winston. The website, 40yearhouse.com. I'll be back with more Computer Talk Radio in just a moment.
Hey guys, this is Benny Rockwell. Most of us use video cameras nowadays, but what about those old movie films in the back of your closet? Well, let me tell you about Legacy Digital Productions. They specialize in taking your old memories on film, videotape, and slides and digitizing them to DVDs. Imagine Grandpa's old 8mm and 16mm films that are just sitting in a box getting old and fading away. Legacy Digital will clean and recondition those films, capture them digitally frame by frame, and then produce beautiful DVDs of your precious memories on long-lasting, archive-quality discs. They don't use a projector, and your films can't be damaged in the process, the best available for families like yours. The final results are gorgeous. What better way to preserve those precious memories for future generations? Call right now, mention my name, Benny Rockwell, and receive a 30% discount on your order. Call toll-free 1-866-2-LEGACY. That's 1-866-2-LEGACY. 1-866-253-4229. And tell them Benny sent you. Your memories are priceless. So call 866-2-LEGACY now.
The phone number, 888-NERD, 888. That's 888-6373, 888. Any computer questions, no matter how crazy they may seem, we're more than willing to answer them for you, though. That's perfectly fine. Just, again, 888-NERD, 888. Steve Keske joins me now here on Computer Talk Radio. And Steve, one of the things that came out this last week, I thought of talking about this on the news, but I knew that of all of the people that normally join me, you'd be the one who'd be most interested in talking about Asgardia.
Oh yeah!
Wow.
Where do I sign up?
Yeah, where do I sign? So, a nation in space. You know what? I'll let you talk about this. I know you've already done some research on this one.
Well, it's a situation where they're talking about creating this artificial satellite, or this satellite up in space, housing about 100,000 people, and their primary duty up there is, as a nation, separate from the United Nations or anybody else, this is a nation unto themselves, so they have their own citizenship and their own laws up there, but they are to basically protect the Earth from asteroids hitting the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can see a number of problems here.
Well, sure, yeah.
If you're going to have 100,000 people, it's going to be pretty big, right?
Yeah. 100,000 people. Well, yeah, I know that you can fit 100,000 people actually within about 100 acres. That's the average busy attendance, if you will, at Disneyland.
Well, that's true. But
yes,
you want a little bit more room than that for these people.
Yeah, if you're going to actually have to live there, if you're going to actually have to take part in, most of the other things that happen in life, 100 acres isn't going to cut it.
No, it's not going to cut it. So you're going to have some kind of a satellite that is basically circular in some ways, but not necessarily. But, you've got to be able to have the biggest problem is artificial gravity.
Yeah.
You got to have gravity. The reason why we don't have it in our space station is because you only got a few people up there. Who cares, know?
Yeah, they just float around having fun.
Having fun all the time.
Playing around with water in 0G, or maybe playing music on a guitar and then letting it float away from you. Yes,
that's right. So if you're going to have artificial, if you're going to really create a nation, now you've got other things that you got to worry about. Now, 100,000 people is not a lot, true enough.
Yeah.
But they're going to have families.
Yes, most definitely.
Most definitely. So then you've got all of this education. You have all these other services that you have to provide, and as well as all this technology that you have to search out and track all these asteroids that are zipping on by Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So you end up with the situation where where's the food going to come? Are we going to ship it up to them all the time?
Can you imagine the takeout bill for that?
Hey.
Yeah, I'd like
McDonald's will be signing up for having the first fast food in space.
Sure. I'd like 5,000 extra large pepperoni pizzas. Let me get another 1,400 with everything on it. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be expensive.
It'll be expensive.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that just being able to say, hey, I got 100,000 people and they're citizens of another. Well, if they're another nation and they have citizenship, okay, then if they want to come back to Earth, does that mean they have to have a visa?
Well, so I do understand this much, that people they'll have dual citizenship. They will have their normal passport plus their Asgardian passport, which sounds to me a lot like some of the other things that we've heard over the years, the various schemes for people to have dual citizenship. Or you too can buy an acre on the moon for whatever good that's going to do you, or
that's right,
an acre on Mars from some company that doesn't actually have a presence on Mars. Yeah.
All those kind of things,
Sure.
And they're showing what they think this satellite will look like, and it doesn't look like it's all that big.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, that's another problem. If you've got to have all the facilities that these people would normally require or ask for on Earth up there in space.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, you're really getting into a lot more than just having 100,000 space people up there.
Yeah. This to me seems like it's more of a nice way for somebody to make money here on Earth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on this. It sounds fun. It sounds interesting, but yeah.
They haven't thought it through.
Don't bet your space station on it.
That's it.
This is Benjamin Rockwell. That's Steve Keske. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back with my closing comments in just a moment. Years ago, I found a web hosting company that fit my needs as a computer nerd, as a radio show host, and, well, a normal person. Recently, though, it became clear to me that it was time to upgrade. I had a choice between my old plan and the new one at 7 times the cost. It was that awkward point where I could choose between a sip of water or being dunked in a pool. I searched around, comparing the many options for someone like me. After looking for 3 weeks, there it was, SiteGround. In proper fashion, I tested their customer service, their knowledge, and their care, their willingness to do things the right way. The SiteGround salesman made sure that I didn't overbuy and get a 50-gallon bucket when all I needed was a 1-gallon bucket. The folks at SiteGround know WordPress, Joomla, and more. SiteGround.com. SITE ground.com for your web hosting needs. SiteGround. So there's this concept that keeps going around and around and around, and it's actually kind of a neat concept that I've enjoyed for a number of years. You may have heard of this recently. There's this article that keeps going around that the CDC or somebody else is deciding that they are going to prepare. They are planning to protect the United States from zombies. Yeah, that's it. That is exactly it. And this actually came out of the concept of something that happened, I don't know, maybe about a decade ago or so. And somebody in what is now, of course, the Department of Homeland Security or somewhere in the government, basically they decided to hire science fiction writers as special consultants to think of potential threats and ways to prevent them. The whole concept, I mean, we look back and we look at 9/11, and people considered 9/11 to be kind of a shocker. Who would have ever thought of this? Well, actually, some people had thought of this. There was a book by, I think it was Joel Rosenberg, who had predicted a number of these different things that happened on 9/11 before 9/11 occurred. And there were a number of different things along the way where people have made predictions, fictional predictions. They said, hey, we've got this idea. Let's do this, that, or the other thing with our bad guys. Nobody's ever done this. Let's shock the readers. And that's what our government is doing. They're looking to expand the horizons. I mean, look, 9/11 was indeed a series of failures of practical security measures and lucky breaks for the terrorists. However, when we look at all of these different issues, well, there were things that people just didn't see the end result. We trust ourselves too much. We trust ourselves all the way along. We feel fine driving because we're in control. We don't feel comfortable with flying because we're not in control. Yeah, that's our trust levels. That's our trusting ourselves. Flying, however, is statistically safer, even with what happened on 9/11. But yet we go back to that zombie concept. We go back to that whole idea of, let's plan in case zombies are there. Well, we replace that concept of zombies. We're not likely to have zombies. We all know that. But what could happen? How do we prepare for all of the different things that could happen? There's all kinds of different failures that happen all kinds of different places. We can prepare for those failures by looking at how we just ignore how those failures are caused. We look at the eventuality because just because we have something that's caused by zombies and they do something doesn't mean that something, that failure over here, isn't going to happen through something a little bit more, normal. Who would have thought? This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. Think about that one. Think about that one just a little bit. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. We'll catch you next week.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio. So I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theRadioFactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time.